Hey everyone, and welcome back to this part 5 in my video series about how to create a Noodle, a web app with Noodle, or a mobile app with Noodle, let's say. And just a recap, we're building an app that helps people who have objectives, like we can actually show the objectives because I made them yesterday, who want to, for example, lose weight or have better sleep or reduce stress, and who might have some pre-existing condition like irritable bowel or inflammatory condition. So it's a lot about how to eat better and to live more healthily. And yesterday we built the part that could determine which tasks we should assign to the user. So today I just wanted to start with a quick correction. There was something I did that caused a bug yesterday. So I had the user node hooked up to an evaluator that when the user has at least checked one condition and one pre-existing condition and one objective in this list, then it would evaluate and change the state to complete if they were in the onboarding state. So if the user hasn't selected at least one pre-existing condition or at least one objective, the idea is that they can't leave this screen. And what I realized was that, because yesterday I said that, yeah, they can leave the screen, but they should also be able to come back. So they should be able to see their list, but maybe come back if they want to change their settings and add a new objective. For example, for tomorrow, they'll have different tasks that are related to a different objective. But the problem was that when I clicked something, because the user node wasn't hooked up to fetch signals, so these two fetch signals are new ones that I hooked up. What was happening was the objectives and conditions, because this node is now kind of live and it's fetching like in a WebSocket kind of way, so that it's fetching in live from the database. It meant that it evaluated the expression every time I clicked something. So if I was just going into settings, thinking of checking two new pre-existing conditions and then clicking done, it would immediately bounce me back to the main screen away from settings, which is not good user experience, because the objectives are changing live, and this is evaluating every time there's a change in the data that's coming into it, because it's not hooked up to the run signal. So these things are just running spontaneously. So I'll show you that again. If I click take off weight loss, it bounces me back every time. So then hooking up the done button to that means that when I click done, that's the moment that we check the user. We check we fetch the new data that we've added. So, we're changing the user here. Like, for example, we've added endometriosis. I can't pronounce that word. And you can see it hasn't appeared here. But when I click, let's pin that. So there's no endometriosis here because we've changed the database version, but we haven't fetched the new version here. So our user object is not changed here. When I click done, then, still doesn't change. Just makes me look stupid. Okay. Oh, there, sorry. It was in conditions, my bad. So we're checking no, that was a bad example. Oh yeah, okay. So it changes here. Conditions change because we are actually changing the local object. I'm stupid. The whole point was, for what we did in the repeater, was that when we check something in this list, we're changing the local user object and then we're saving it to the database. So what changed here is that because the fetch signal is hooked up, we're not actually outputting the data to the condition. It doesn't detect that there's something has changed. It's only when we click done and it fetches that you can see the outputs light up, and that means that the expression is receiving that new data and reacts to it by going through states. We could also be even more sure about it by hooking up the user fetched signal to the run signal of the expression, meaning the expression won't run no matter what happens with this data. The expression won't run unless the user has been fetched. See? Done. The other thing on why I hooked up the page did mount signal to the user to fetch the user was because when you're loading the page, you want also that check to happen. So for example, imagine I haven't selected a pre-existing condition yet. Right, and the done button, there was another thing I added was I do want one live user node to tell me if there are objectives or conditions, because I actually want to know if this button should be activated or not. So when the users are doing their onboarding, they can't actually move on from this step unless they select at least one pre-existing condition. So if I reload the page, then you can see that it's on the pre-existing conditions part. Oh, how did that happen? Because this is by default in onboarding. All right, so let's put it by default in complete just to see the difference. So if I load the page, I don't have at least one condition. I have 0 conditions. So I shouldn't be seeing the main page. This is just because the states are set by default to the main page. So what I did was hooked up the page to user so that when the page is loaded, we also check to see, does the user have the necessary number of conditions or not? And then that bounces us into the onboarding state. So that actually actively put us into onboarding as opposed to passively, because it was the default state. So we could put onboarding as default, it doesn't matter, because it's being changed by signals and not really ever loading. It never really just loads in its default state. It's always being controlled by some sort of signals, which is the best way in this particular case. It means that we know that we have the full control over this. So that was just a little correction to share with you, a bug that I found, and just showing how in the development process you really have to always be testing. Every time you add something new, you've got to test it to see if it still works, if everything still works. You can add some little point somewhere far away from the main page and suddenly something in the main page is broken because you've changed the way a variable is fetched or something like that. So it could just be really useful to always be testing. So what we're going to do today, what I would like to do is make it so that I can check tasks, that when I check a task in this list, it saves it into the database as a done task, and that it gives me some sort of fanfare, with like a lottie file that shows confetti. And also I would like to have something at the top that shows me progress, like a progress bar that shows me how close I am to my daily goal. So maybe we'll start with the progress bar, because it will be quite fun to work out, a little bit of maths. So we've got the main task container, and what we want to do is create a group at the top that will have another group inside it, that will have another group inside it, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this in a sec. So what we're doing here is we're creating a group which is going to be called top bar. We're going to have a group that's going to be called progress bar container, and we're going to have a group that's called bar. And what we're doing is we're counting how many tasks. Oh, we actually query the tasks. Okay. Yeah, I did say in the last video we're not going to query the tasks, didn't I? I said that we're going to query the task list, and we're going to query the relation field so that we can get it all at once. So maybe you might want to have a look at that first. So we've got task list, first record ID, comes back, task. Okay, so task list, create record. Okay, so here would be where we would want to maybe query the task and output it into an array, because then that's just one query, just this one query instead of 2 queries, which is not really a big deal, especially because it's 5 tasks. But I think principally I would like to show how that would work, because I would like to, so we want to show, oh no, we can't really, we can, we're going to have to change this. It's going to be a pain because we're going to have to change this into a function. It's going to have loads of options. All right, no, forget that for now. So in theory, if there wasn't such a complex query, what we would do is ask Noodle or create a function to read from the database and retrieve a record from task list class with an input ID and include the field has tasks. Include data from the field, and we'll understand it better. So just to see how that would work, I'm not going to do it because it would be like querying to find out which is the right task list for today and then querying like the ID of the one we found, which is really silly. What we would do is normally expand this query to have more options. So the options that you see here, we would translate them into JavaScript options here, but I'm not going to run through that right now because it would be quite complicated. But if you want, leave a comment and I'll do it, and I'll come back and do it if you really want that. It's no problem. Or just send me an email, ask me, I'll tell you how to do it. But I think creating a video would be good. So when we do include has tasks and we do the ID, just to show you what that does. So we get a task list record. Oh, it doesn't have any tasks. How did that happen? Task list has tasks. Yes, it does have tasks. Oh, hang on. Was the right name of the field? Yeah, has tasks. I was sure that I did a query before and it came back include has tasks. Okay, well then we can't include relation fields, I guess. Because it's pointer fields. It's only pointer fields that we can include. That's me being silly. We can't include relation fields with multiple relations. So yeah, actually what we're doing is the right way. I know that I did have a way of calling relations, but it was something to do with calling it from the cloud functions, which we haven't touched on yet, but cloud functions are like backend functions, like server-side functions for Noodle that's included with their integrated backend. And we can, I think, query relations and get them to include relations in like with a direct API call. It's kind of complicated. I have some examples in the Noodle noob handbook of how to do that if you're interested, which is on my website learn-noodle.com. But yeah, let's just say it's a pain in the butt kind of thing for parse, so we'll leave it for now. It's not necessary to mess around with that. So that's why I created a pointer field in the task, which are pointing to a task list, belongs to task list, and then it means I can query, because this app is only ever querying 5 things basically. It doesn't need to, I mean, maybe if you can argue that people are going to go back and look at previous days, that's going to involve more queries, but that's okay. It's querying 5 things at a time. It's no big deal. It's very small. So anyway, back to the topic at hand, which is the tasks are going into the repeater, and we want a progress bar to show how many of these tasks have been completed. So we're going to filter. We'll do an array filter. We'll do it the fun way. We'll do an array filter, and we'll filter complete, and it's a Boolean filter where complete equals checked, true, right? So the items from the query are going into the filter, and we have none that are true. Now we can get the count and say how far across this bar should be in its container, and we're going to give it a fixed height. We're going to give it a fixed height, which is going to be 50 pixels. And we're going to make it, no, 50 pixels is way too big. Jesus. 10 pixels. That looks good. We're going to give it like rounded ends. So we'll make it like, I don't know, 20 rounded ends. And then we're going to give it a color. It's going to be, I don't know what the color of the app's going to be yet, but everything's purple, so let's just make it purple. That's a really ugly purple. No, that should be the background. This one. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and the progress bar background is going to be this kind of lighter purple. And then the count is going to go into an expression, and we're going to use the count divided by 5. No, let's say total count. No, what is it? Maths. Come on, maths. We can do this. Complete count divided by total count times 100. So completed count, total count. Just in case, I know, like I said, 5, and so you might argue, well, why don't you just put in 5? Well, I don't like putting in hard coded values if I think that maybe one day it might change and we might want 6 tasks instead of 5 per day. Or maybe the users can select how many tasks they do. Like I want to have 5 or I want to have 10 because I'm really hardcore. So let's, total count. So total count is 5. This is 0. The result will be 0, and that's going to be the width percentage. So width percentage is 0. And then we're going to see that light up when we have one result in the array filter. It's going to light up with 10% or no, 20%, sorry. And it'll go 20% across. So we also need to make this one rounded as well. There. It's a nice little progress bar. That's cool. So we can just keep it like that. We don't need a number, I don't think. It looks pretty nice. Where's the, so top bar is there. And then, oh yeah, because it's got 50 vertical gap, it's a bit much. That's better. Okay. And so let's say now we're going to start completing the tasks. What does that look like? When it oh, I already did something. That's cool. So when the checkbox is changed, the complete goes to set record properties, cloud and local. Okay. Okay. So actually, in theory, if I tick something, nothing happens. That's awesome. So that was cancer test. Complete is true. So complete is true goes in here, and okay, maybe we need to say that when something changes, we run the filter, because right now, well, what if we refresh the page? Nope. So we have our items going in. We have complete is true. The filter is supposed to filter out complete when it is true. And the count is 1. Yes, good. So 1 divided by 5 times 100 is 20. So the width should be 20%. So why is it not 20%? Width is 20. Do I need it to be an object? That would be a bit weird. Percent. Ah, okay, hang on. Ah, okay. So, pro tip. Pro tip time. Listen up. This is really important because Noodle has some little quirks. I'm not going to call them bugs. I'm going to call them quirks. Okay, yeah, we really need to get that array filter firing when we check something. Anyway, which we can do, actually. We can do. Okay, no, we're going to talk about the quirks first. The quirk is, so you saw before that it had a default percentage, and that didn't work. So it should show 40%, but it's not. Sometimes with Noodle, if you leave something in its default state, it doesn't really work properly. Oh, don't know what that's supposed to be, 40 what? Because either your choice is either send in an object that has like, I can't remember what it is. There's like a specific object you can send in where it's like value 20 and then like type pixel or something like that, and then it'll know exactly what it is. But if you want it to always be a certain percentage number, then you have to click the percentage, and you see it like lights up. Because it's been selected, even though that was the same as the default value, it actually kind of kicks it into action, and then the next time you'll see that it actually comes up with 40%. So it's just one of those little quirks. There's some things like, for example, as well, if you drop a text on anywhere and there's another text next to it, and it's in a horizontal group. It's a good example. Just to show you I'm not crazy. See the way the text is like pushed all the way off the screen? It's because the text goes down here with like supposed to be content width 100%, and so it should occupy 100% of the space it has available, which is 50% because there are 2 of them, but it doesn't, and that's just because the default value is not good, and if you click it, then it will go back to the default value. So you have to actually click it as opposed to leaving it as default, and then it will really take up the 100% width of the width that it has available, which is 100 divided by 2 elements, which is 50. So just another example of how that works. Little quirks. So when we click something, we actually want it to output and say value changed. Value clicked. So when it changes, and the record is set, only when the record is set, that's probably a good point. So when we actually have the record set, we output and ask the filter to run again. Value clicked filter, which means that it's not going to run on page load, remember, because now we've hooked it up, it's not going to run spontaneously anymore. It's only ever going to run when the repeater's clicked, but we don't just want that. We also want it to run when the page is loaded, or when the, I guess when the main task container is mounted, maybe. So when that mounts, then we filter. So either the page loads, the task container mounts at some point, and we filter and find out how many tasks have been complete, or one is clicked and then it does the filter and increases the progress bar all the way up to 100. Nice. And if we refresh the page, leave it at 80 just in case, then that works. Perfect. Lovely. So we'll call this find completed tasks. Okay, and then that's good. So what we want to do now is that when the count is 100, which we could probably do even with this expression, we want to show a lottie file. So I think I haven't installed that yet. Modules, I think it's in lottie. Yeah, so lottie module. I'm going to put a lottie on the screen. And we should have it in a group, and that group should be in an absolute position. Vertical viewport width and 100 viewport height. Should, yeah, give us like a, let's see if it comes up. If it's not transparent. Yeah, so it's over the whole page, that's good. And then the lottie's going to go in here. I'm going to make that transparent again. Well, it might, no, we'll make it like a dark, maybe a bit lighter than that, 30%. Yeah, something like that. And the lottie we're going to use, we have to go and get it from somewhere. So let's go and find one. We're not going to loop it. We're going to autoplay. Yes, we just need to get a lottie JSON file from somewhere. So let's go get it. I'll just bring up lottie files there. All right, so you can get a free account over at lottie files. It's pretty easy. Go back here. Okay. I'm logged in. That's good. Okay, so we're gonna do confetti. Nice. Okay, which confetti is the best? I like this one's pretty cool. And then this one's more like mobile orientated, so that's pretty cool. So many choices. How does one choose? This one's quite long, which is nice. I like one that sort of lasts a bit. Yeah, that's cool. I like that one. The one that lasts a long time. That's cool. Yeah, I have to say, that's very nice. Alrighty, let's get it. So we're going to download the lottie JSON. Don't need it to be optimized or whatever. I'm going to go and find that and call it confetti. We're going to go into our Noodle project, open our project folder, which is the local project folder where your project lives. So you can see I've got a cat logo in there. It's just from the template. It's not on purpose. We're going to put in confetti.json. So you can either put it in here, or what I do is I would create a folder called assets, and then we'll put it in there instead. Confetti. So now we've got a path, which is assets.confetti.json. So we'll keep the dot there, ./assets/confetti.json. There it is. Ta-da! Nice. Okay, so when this group is mounted, it plays. Or can we make it play manually? Is that possible? Oh yeah, we can. That's cool. We'll make it play manually then. So we're not going to autoplay it. SVG renderer, that's okay. I don't really know much about how lotties render, so I'm not going to tell you about that. And we want to put a little text in there too. That'll say, maybe we'll put the lottie into a group. So it's fixed, or absolute, sorry. We'll put it at the top, middle, and then the text is going to be in the middle of the screen, and it's going to be a big text. There it is. It says something like, well done. All tasks complete. Make it a nicer color. Make it white. Yeah, that sounds good. And then put it on like maybe a slightly darker background. 40%. Yeah, no, even darker. 60. Yeah, that's good. And then the lottie plays. That should work. Okay. Oh, maybe make it actually bottom. Maybe we could make it. Yeah, we'll make it bottom oriented because then. Is that going to work? Content height. Yeah, that should work. Or maybe make it centered then. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So this is the lottie group. Lottie popover. And this is the lottie container. And that's the congratulations text. Okay, so when this is when the percentage equals 100, then we will show we'll mount it. Can we mount it? Yeah. What do we want to do? We want to show it for no, we want to mount it with a switch maybe. So we'll say that the switch is initially false. So the lottie group is not mounted. Then if the percentage is 100, we switch it to true. So percentage is 100. We switch it to true. And then maybe we'll put in a little button. That says done, for example. And the done button will switch it back to off. So switches are handy because it's just a true false controller. So we can switch it to true, switch it to false. So if we complete all our tasks, well done, task complete. But it didn't play the lottie. Oops. So when it's switched to on, it plays the lottie. And the done button should be in the middle. No. Yeah, I gotta put that in a group. Text in a group, button in a group, and then the group is gonna be content height, and it's gonna be centered, and it's gonna have a vertical gap of 40. And yeah, that's fine, cool. Very good. Now, there's one funny thing about these checkboxes is they're all kind of showing up through my mask of this. So maybe we need to put this lottie popover a bit higher. So we're going to increase the Z index to see if that helps. Yes. So the Z index is how far something is like coming at you off the screen. So like things are layered on top of each other. The Z index 0 or minus numbers would be the lower layers, sort of visually, and the higher layers would be the 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be one of the highest things. So we'll keep it at a high level. So let's see if we do that again. Oh, it didn't play the lottie. That's a bit sad. Oh, was it maybe because of my Z index trick? Let's just reset that just in case. Let's check that. No, it wasn't because of my Z index trick. Let's do that. Okay, so let's figure out why that's not happening. So the lottie's going to be a Z index of 3 then. And okay, try it again. Refresh as well, just in case. No, it didn't work. Come on. The lottie's over the top of my buttons, so these need to be at Z index 4, if that's what the problem is, which I don't think it is. Whew, okay. So why is it not? Let's disconnect this and set it to autoplay and just see if this might be a bug with the lottie module. I've never tried it before. I mean, I've tried the lottie module, yeah, so it's a bug with the lottie module. I see. That's sad. I would like it to be able to play on command. It really can't. Okay, fine. Well, I mean, let's see if it auto plays every time it's mounted. Yeah, it does. So forget about it. Every time it mounts, it instantiates, and so then it plays. So that's fine. Would it be better if it was on the bottom though? Would that look nicer? Kind of looks silly no matter where it is because it's not going full height. I can't really control that, I don't think. Can I? No, I don't know. I'm not going to play with it right now. It's fine. So put it in the middle. It looks fine. And then, yeah, we've got our all task complete thing. So that's cool. So we can complete tasks for a day that have been assigned to us. We can see our progress. And once the tasks are all complete, we get a little fanfare that says, well done. So that's cool, I think. I would be happy to get that and have completed all my tasks for the day. I need to think about now the next step in the next video, which is going to be how do I jump sort of day to day. At the moment, it's fine. Like the app, I think, is actually pretty much done because it's got the ability to tell people what they should do for the day. It's got fanfare when they finish. The next day when they open the app, they're going to have 5 new tasks and the progress bar will be at 0 because every day it detects the new date and creates 5 new tasks. So what we don't have is kind of a history or points, which would be cool. So I would like to maybe in the next video look at doing a point system. So you've done a day, you get 5 points. You've done another day, you've got 5 more points, so that's 10 points, etc. So I think I would like to look into stuff like that. And then also I did have in the database a field for descriptions of tasks. So I would actually like to have a little like open symbol that would open a pop-up and would maybe explain, okay, so you want to, you know, these are just tests, but imagine this weight loss one is walk 10,000 steps. Then when you click it and open it, what I would like is a description, like some encouragement, like, so, you know, how are we going to achieve this? Some pictures, some text, for example. So might want to look into maybe we'll stick with a basic description with no pictures for the moment. But like at least some encouraging text to say, how can you achieve this? You know, what are the 10 top ways that you can go for a nice walk? And, you know, how can you motivate yourself to go for a walk? Things like that. So I think that would be cool to do something like that. But and I also need to hook up the whole email verified system if I want to have that. So there's still some stuff left to do, but it does work. You can sign up, I think. Yeah, you can sign up. You can create an account. Takes me to the home page. There we go. We have to put, I mean, it would be better to have a bit more UX, but I put in what conditions I have and what I want to achieve. Done lights up. And then, oh, and then it tells me all tasks are complete. Oh yeah, okay. One final pro tip. When you have people log out and potentially log back in again as somebody else, like it's an edge case, but it's really, really important to know this because the stuff that you've loaded, like tasks and objects and variables, they're not going to go away because the user logs out. Like that's a classic no-code thing where the user logs out, we'll wipe all the data for you, don't worry, you don't have to deal with it. In Noodl, everything stays, so you still have all the same variables and stuff in place because you haven't left the page, you've just initiated a logout, so the session's not there anymore and you won't be able to query data, but it's still all the like variables, arrays, objects, everything still remains. So what we have to do is when the user logs out, which is in the header nav bar, and everybody should be doing this for their app, it's really important. When we log out, we have to not navigate. We have to do a page refresh, and I can't exactly remember what the function is, so refresh the user's browser window. There we go. If you refresh the browser window, all the data gets wiped. So this is why you can see I've refreshed. It's spontaneously refreshing because it's not hooked up to anything. So I'm going to hook it up, success to run, and it'll stop. And I can refresh and it'll be fine. Very good. Yeah, okay, just chill, dude, chill. So we've refreshed the browser and that's on the logout, right? So that means that when we refresh the browser, we need to check, because we can't do any workflows after that. So what we need to do is check if the user's logged in. And if they're not logged in, we bounce them to the login page. So anytime the user is not logged in, so when user is authenticated, hang on, what do we want to say? When the user not authenticated, no. When the user is not authenticated and the window.location. I can't remember if this works in the expressions. I think it does. Window.location. What's it called? Path? No. Oh, crap. Hang on. Go find it. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with JavaScript. Location dot path name is main. So if it's not log in, or are there two pages, or login and sign up? Okay, it takes me to main. All right, fine. Let's log out. So if it's not, yeah, whatever, login. Ah, okay. Oh, it already does do something like that. How did that work? Okay. Let's just log in then. Plus test at digitalbricks.io password. So it's got my user ID. It queries the task list. It finds two task lists from me. No, not from me. Does it not go current user? Owner is pointing to a record with ID that matches input current user. So hold on a second. Owner, NTOV, user ID, ADT. So that's not the right result. So that's good. That's not good. Why is it giving me two results? Because it maybe because it does it too quickly? It does it on mount. And that's too quick. So maybe when the user is authenticated, that's when we should launch it. So spontaneously, no connections. Every time the user is authenticated, we check to see the task lists. Here we go. Okay, what it was doing was, so another pro tip, I hooked up the did mount. Now did mount will happen very quickly because the app level is the first thing that loads. Then it goes and does all the other stuff, like for example, checking the user logged in, getting their session token, etc. So what I was doing was running this way too quickly. And at the moment it was running, current user was actually empty. And like a millisecond later, or 100 milliseconds later, the ID appears from the user. But it's too late. It's already been run because it was only hooked up to the did mount of the app. So now what I've done is hooked it up to authenticated instead to say, okay, only do this query when we actually have an authenticated user, i.e. we have an ID coming out of this field, or out of this node, so we can actually do the query. So that works. So I've got my list and it's bugging because I have not, it hasn't created the tasks for me because I guess it was bugging. So we'll delete that, go back. There we go. Oh no. It completed its running task and it's having a bug. Okay, we stick around because we're going to fix some bugs. I'm not going to leave you knowing that there were some bugs. Items. Cannot start while in idle mode. Well, why the heck not? Oh, there's two task lists now. Okay. Let's delete these two. All right, here we go. So it's gonna query, check the task list count is not 0. it will be 0. So it's going to create a new list. It's going to find the top task for this user. It's going to go and run tasks with these different tasks that are linked to that user's objectives, and it's going to set the variable. No, it's not. So why is it not running? It triggered twice. Why did it trigger twice? Oh. Okay. It's done. Oh. Okay. Oh dear. It's done 4 queries. Oh my lord. So this authenticated is running way too often. Maybe we can just do it once the user's fetched. Would that work? So it's running too many times. No, it doesn't work. It's not triggering because it's not fetching. We could fetch on page load though, I guess. That's fine actually, because we don't use this for anything else. So let's say when it's fetched, then we check, and when the page mounts, then we fetch the user. So it's going to mount once. We're going to check the user, get their, yeah. So every time the page mounts, it will be every time the page refreshes. So that should work. So it mounts, does run tasks. And okay, initially thinks that we've done all of them, so it shows the lottie. So let's just go and check that little bug there. Because it's gonna filter. Okay, so we're gonna say percentage equal to 100 and total count is not equal to 0. So we're going to add the total count from the tasks, which means that it should only do it when it knows that there are tasks, and therefore the percentage is 100. At the moment, it must be doing, I guess, 0 divided by 0 times 100. I don't know. I'm really crap at maths. Sorry. So let's just delete that list and try again. And here we go. No. Why is it still doing that? Trigger count 2. Yeah, 5. Percentage is 100 because completed tasks is 5. Why is it creating tasks that are already complete? What is going on? And is it the right task list? Oh, hold on. Today's task list variable. Yeah. So U41 is the task list that just got created, I hope. U41. Are there tasks in U41? Yes, there are. So we have U41. It queried the, oh, it's querying too fast. No, it's not. Maybe it is. Maybe it's querying too fast. Okay. So let's say when this value is changed, we do the query. That's better. So value changes, we do the query. Not too fast, because it was like pulling the first 5 records in the whole database, and not just because there was no today task list. So again, it was querying, but today task list was empty, and so it was like, oh, I'll just go and get whatever from the database, I don't care. And then it's filtering, finds that there's 0, and then doesn't do the lottie because we haven't. Now if we complete all those tasks, fanfare. If we refresh the page, fanfare, which I'm alright with. I like that there's more fanfare. Good, okay. So I think we've sort of, that's what I said at the beginning of the video. I was like, yeah, the app's done, but I was saying to you, we really need to test it. You know, we changed things. We need to test it from start to finish. So now we've tested it from sign up through onboarding, through completing your first day of tasks. And then tomorrow we'll check to see if we really have the new tasks listed, and then we can do the whole point system to say, yeah, you already completed your task yesterday and now you've completed more tasks. You're the best. So yeah, it's looking good. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that fun roller coaster of developing, debugging, user testing all rolled into one. And I hope that's given you some inspiration for your own project and hopefully some important lessons as well. So look forward to seeing you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and stick around.